This is 37th Street Radio and TV, and of course, we are out here hooking you up with the best when it comes to guests. And today we have another special guest. So, guest, please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Maryanne Waruguru. I am a counseling psychologist, and I'm also a content creator. I advocate for mental health in all social media platforms. Thank you.
So let's just go straight into it. Like from your Instagram bio, I see therapist and psychologist. So, I just want you to explain to us what do these terms really mean? Because for me, like it's hard for even many guys to understand and differentiate what is what.
Yeah, there are usually certain terms that are used interchangeably. There is therapist, there is psychologist, and there is a counselor, and then there is a psychiatrist. So most of the time, the therapist, psychologist, counselor are used interchangeably, and they usually refer to someone who helps people in terms of talking, and we employ certain techniques to be able to help someone who is going through an issue. Whereas a psychiatrist is usually, first of all, a medical doctor, so they get to diagnose and also to give medications as well. In some places, there are clinical psychologists, and these ones also can prescribe medication. But usually with counseling, it's mostly talking about the issue and just helping you through certain techniques, not medications.
So, like for you, I want to know, when did the passion in counseling start? Is it something interest grew when you are an adult, or it started while you are a kid?
Well, it started when I was an adult. When I was a kid, first of all, I remember I wanted to be a journalist, and then I was told that is not for serious people. I was one of those macho students, so it's like just do serious stuff. So I ended up wanting to be a medical doctor. But then when it came to my Form 4, I got a B+, and for you to be a medical doctor, you have to have an A. So I went and did counseling psychology, bachelor's degree in Moi people, yeah. So I did that, and then first of all, I didn't even know what it was. So nile tu unaenda to class, just getting to see what is it. And then funny thing, I was more of a sciencey person, and then counseling is like theories and techniques and so much reading, and I was like, what is this? But then once I went and practiced, after third year, you go for attachment. So once I went and practiced, I went to a hospital, which I always wanted to work in by the virtue of wanting to be a medical doctor. Then I got to love it, and so how much we can help people as well, not just in terms of medicating them and kwadunga sindano and all. I can still get to help someone by talking through the techniques that I have been taught. So that is where the passion started, and then it went through to my fourth year. Now I became a serious student, participating in class, and then now after is when I got into practice, and then after some 2-3 years, I started advocating for mental health as well on social media, because I came to learn how much misunderstanding there is about mental health. People just think of when you hear of mental health, and it's not like that.
I want us to talk about mental wellness and mental well-being. So, like, when are the situations that maybe somebody can say that they're okay mentally, and when are the situations that someone can say they are not okay mentally? If somebody is sad, does that mean you are not okay mentally? Like, you can just explain to us so that we know.
That is a very good question, because you find that most of the time, like I said, people just hear mental health and they think the other opposite end is mental illness, and it's not like that. We say mental health is a continuum, meaning you can be from a scale of 1 to 10, you can be in between. So when you're talking about mental well-being, most of the time when we are looking at mental health, consider your thoughts, your feelings, and your behavior. So you will find that when you mention sadness, that is an emotion, which is the feelings part. So usually when we say someone is not mentally well, they may be affected in these different ways. Maybe they have intrusive thoughts, or they are really stressed. Ile unasikianga mtu anasema akili imejaa mawazo, amejaa stress, that is a sign of that you're not okay. It could be confusion, ama unapata mtu they can't be able to concentrate, maybe they're just wanazuba, and then when you call them, it's when they are startled. When it comes to the feelings, now you can be feeling sad, you can be anxious, you can be beating yourself down, you may be feeling lonely, you may be feeling helpless. And then when it comes to behavior, now is where we talk of things like people who steal, people who are aggressive and they go around fighting people, people who are agitated, using substances. And of course, we talk about substances now, using them in excess. And then another thing is usually with sleep and eating. So you may find that this may change depending on how you're doing. So for some people, they may eat more, sleep more, or some they may sleep less and eat less. So those are some of the things to look out for when we say you're not okay.
What is, from your experience and just relating with people, what do you think is the importance of being able and being self-aware of your mental state?
The importance is because you see, like the way you're saying, you can be not okay, but you don't know. But when you start being more aware, you start being more aware of what am I thinking about, how am I feeling today. You can be able to tell and catch yourself early when things are not okay, and actually ask for help. Because when you're mentally well, you get to be productive, you get to live your best life. I mean, you get to interact with people, you get to be, even when in school and work, you give your all. But when you're not okay, then this is affected. So it is important to always be aware of the three things I mentioned: how you're thinking, how you're feeling, and how you're behaving.
You've just talked about something else that I also wanted to ask you. You've talked about not being well and you don't know. Now, like many people come from environments where maybe violence is normal. So they almost think that this is just normal and this is the way of life. So for people like this, like, how do you deal with them? Because they do not even know, because they think it is normal according to the environment that they have lived in.
Yeah, that's true. I've actually worked in a community prison. There is usually a Boston institution. So for like young people and men and boys that have been taken there, because maybe you'll hear someone, oh, they did robbery with violence, and when you ask them, anakuambia, even my mom, my dad, my uncle do the same thing. So to them, it is actually normal. But then at the end of the day, what we focus on, and especially when we talk about behavior, we look at, why are you doing what you're doing? Even when we talk about stealing, when we talk about drinking too much, we ask, why is it that you're doing it? And when you find the why, maybe you're trying to escape, maybe there's poverty at home, maybe you want to be recognized, when you join the gangs, then that is where now then the behavior usually goes away.
I want to know how, what is the objective of your counseling? Because, like, let's say somebody has come to you, they have lost a job. Now, in such a situation, no matter how much you counsel this person, you cannot give them a job. You understand? So I don't know how you deal with such issues. Maybe my friend has died. No matter how much you counsel me, like, my friend has already died. So, like, how do you deal with such issues?
Yeah, that is very, very important to say, because you'll find that some people say, I've seen these memes where people say, oh, we don't need therapy, we just need money. And you see, that is very true. But you see, a human being is different things. And for us, we focus on the mind and what you're telling yourself about the situation. You see, one thing that I always say when it comes to, let's say, that lack of work, and you see maybe someone can't even afford that therapy itself because they don't have the money. So the focus of the therapy is usually to empower someone and to change their mindset. You see, everything is all about mindset. If I tell myself, oh, I come from a poor family, will never make it, then I will not make it. I will not do anything to make it. So it's usually to change the thinking behind the situation, because at the end of the day, every one of us has challenges and we face situations, but the way we react to the situations is what is usually different, and it is based on the thoughts that we have around it. So if maybe like you've said, a friend dies, for me, maybe I might be thinking, oh, I wish I could have done my best, I would have saved him, or maybe even be afraid I'm going next. But you see, having the right thoughts around it of it happens, life is like that, and we just have to kukubali that it has happened. It is just what you tell yourself about the situation.
In your experience, when you just look back, I want to know, like, maybe if you have noted, like, the demographic that seeks your services the most, maybe parents, maybe teachers, maybe students, like, can you like pinpoint a specific demographic that has been really seeking your services over time?
I would actually say there is none, because it depends on the place that you work in. But now in my private practice, because I also do private practice, I get people maybe 20s, early 30s, people around my age, that is. Because sometimes you may get older people who are like, sasa wewe unajua nini, and you haven't experienced life. But then I've worked in a rehab, I've worked in a hospital, I have worked in an NGO. So those places usually have different target groups. But then even when you talk about a rehab, I have handled a 21-year-old, I've handled a 70-year-old. So it usually doesn't really depend much. But when it comes to people coming to me direct, yes, there is a correlation in terms of getting the younger people or people at least around my age, which I'm not going to say.
People don't usually, in when you look at counseling generally and just things that we see on the internet and YouTube, they usually say that men do not like embracing counseling. So I don't know if you have experienced this. I don't know if you have noted this in your practice, and what can be done to change this perception, or if it happens, these actions.
Yeah. Actually, for me, I have experienced that. You see, the thing is, as a society, we have been told that men should be strong and they aren't weak. So it is usually so hard for them to open up. And when it gets to a point they actually opened up, things are really bad. And even in my private practice, most of the people I get are fellow females, and I've gotten like 2 gentlemen, and only one was consistent, the other one ghosted. So it's just like it is very hard for men to open up. And like you said, what do we do to change this is to start telling men that it's okay not to be okay. And also, seeking help is not a sign of weakness. I mean, you want to be stronger, you want to have the coping skills, you want to be better than you are. So seeking for help is not a sign of weakness, but actually a sign of strength.
From our African culture, it's very difficult for guys to come and even seek your services. I want to know if, like, from when you started practicing till now, do you see the change in people are starting to embrace what you are doing and now they're approaching you more oftenly compared to when you started?
Yeah, that's something I have noted, because as we can see, mental health is becoming a thing because it is being talked about everywhere. Even in the media, you find shows calling for counselors, and also I would say there has been a change. And even on social media, we can now see therapists on social media. I mean, Kitambo, I don't even remember knowing any therapist at all, but right now I can see so many of them. So there's a change.
There are avenues like the internet whereby we have all these social media sites. For you, I also noted that you are on YouTube, so you also talk about just mental health issues on your YouTube page. So like, what prompted this action? Because maybe you will just wait for your clients to approach you. You will never see the need to start a YouTube, but you saw that you can start a YouTube and you are talking about mental health issues. So what influenced that decision?
Actually, waiting for clients to come to you is usually difficult, because unless there is a huge issue, people don't actually walk to therapists just like the way maybe someone would go to a hospital. So it's very hard. So what prompted me was the reality that people are actually not aware of what mental health is. I see it even around my circle of friends, even in my family. People still don't know what I do. My mom will tell you, mimi ni daktari tu. She doesn't understand what exactly mental health is. And I saw that as a need for people to be educated, so that also in as much as we talk about it, and you see so many people are saying, oh, I'm so depressed, oh, I'm so anxious. And sometimes it may be lack of information. Just because I woke up sad today doesn't mean I'm depressed. So it is very important for us to have professionals and also people with lived experiences sharing their stories, so that people can get to be aware. And like you said, someone may be going through something and they don't know what it is, but maybe if they see a video, they may actually decide to seek for help.
I want to know the most important lesson that you personally you have learned over time.
About what?
About your career, just looking at your career and your experiences. You can just talk to us about the most important lesson that you have learned.
What I have learned is that it is very important to take care of our mental health. I mean, most of the time we just go about our life, we just do things, but starting to ask yourself, why do I do what I do? Why is it that I think like this? You know, just being more intentional about your life makes us have a better quality of life than just going about hivyo tunde. And that is why I actually advocate so much about self-awareness. Start knowing yourself, knowing how you behave, your emotions, how you act around other people, so that we can all at least be in a better position and generally a better society.
As we are finishing up, I want you to talk to guys about how they can reach you and how they can access your services. If you are okay with communicating about the rates, you're also free to do that.
Thank you so much for first of all for this interview, and thank you so much for everybody who is going to watch. You can reach me out on @Maryanne Waruguru for all my social media platforms. So usually I just tell people to DM me. I'm usually so active. I will get back to you as soon as I can. I currently work in a rehabilitation center in Athi River, but I do private practice around Nairobi. So you can always reach out to me anytime. For the rates, we will discuss then.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us your time.
Thank you too for having me.